Every night, the same girl appeared before him. The problem was, she had died 3 years ago. Rain poured heavily across the streets of Port Harcourt as exhausted workers rushed home before midnight. Femi gripped the steering wheel tightly, struggling to stay awake after another long shift at work. That was when he saw her. A young woman standing barefoot in the middle of the empty road. Pale blue dress. Long braids dripping with rain. Perfectly still. As though she had been waiting for him. Femi slowed the car. His heartbeat quickened. "Hey," he shouted through the rain. "Are you okay?" The girl slowly lifted her head. Their eyes met. And suddenly, a speeding truck tore through the road. Straight through her body. Femi's blood turned cold. The truck never stopped. The girl never moved. And somehow, she was still standing there. The next morning, Femi convinced himself he had imagined it. Stress. Lack of sleep. Nothing more. Until he saw her again. This time, she sat quietly at the back of a nearly empty bus, staring out the window while passengers unknowingly walked through her. Nobody reacted to her. Nobody noticed her. Except him. When their eyes met, she smiled faintly. And disappeared. After that, she began appearing everywhere. At the corner of his office hallway. Near his apartment staircase. Reflected briefly in mirrors. Always watching him. Never speaking. Femi stopped sleeping properly. Dark circles formed beneath his eyes. His friends became worried. Especially his closest friend, Tari. "You need rest," Tari insisted. "You're seeing things." But deep down, Femi knew one terrifying truth. She was real. 3 nights later, the girl finally spoke. "You shouldn't stay in that apartment." Her voice was soft. Hollow. Femi's chest tightened. "Who are you?" Instead of answering, she looked toward the ceiling. "Leave before midnight tomorrow." Then she vanished again. Femi barely slept. By the next evening, fear had completely consumed him. At exactly 11:40 p.m., he packed a small bag and left his apartment building. 20 minutes later, an explosion tore through the night. The entire top floor burst into flames. People screamed. Windows shattered. Femi stared in horror as smoke swallowed the place where he had been sleeping moments earlier. If he had stayed, he would have died. The next day, he searched desperately for answers. And eventually, he found one. An old newspaper article. University student dies in apartment fire. The photograph beneath the headline made his blood run cold. It was her. Her name was Neoma. She had died in that very building 3 years earlier after trying to rescue trapped neighbors during a midnight fire. Most escaped because of her. She didn't. Femi couldn't stop thinking about her after that. Not out of fear anymore. But grief. Loneliness recognized loneliness. And slowly, their strange encounters changed. Neoma began speaking more. Sometimes she sat beside him silently while he worked. Sometimes they walked empty streets together after midnight. She told him stories about her childhood dreams, her love for music, and how she once wanted to become a doctor before her life ended too soon. And for the first time in years, Femi stopped feeling alone. But there was one thing Neoma never explained. Why him? Why could only he see her? The answer came unexpectedly. One rainy night, Neoma stared at him quietly before speaking. "You were supposed to die in that fire." Femi's breath caught. "I don't understand." She smiled sadly. "The night I died, I prayed that nobody else would ever lose their future the way I lost mine." Tears filled her eyes. "And somehow, you heard me." As weeks passed, Femi realized something dangerous. He was falling in love with her. A ghost. Someone he could never truly hold. Someone already gone. Tari noticed the change immediately. "You're disappearing from real life," she warned him. "Whatever this is, it's not healthy." Femi became torn between two worlds. The living. And the dead. Until one night, Neoma finally told him the truth. "You have to let me go." Femi's heart shattered. "I don't want to." "You deserve a life beyond grief," she whispered. "And I deserve peace beyond regret." That same night, Neoma led him to an abandoned music box hidden beneath a loose floorboard in the old apartment ruins. Inside was a letter addressed to her mother. A goodbye she never got to deliver. The next morning, Femi tracked down Neoma's aging mother in a quiet town outside the city. When the old woman read the letter, she wept uncontrollably. For the first time in 3 years, she finally knew her daughter's final thoughts. That she had died trying to save others. That she had died without fear. That she had died with love in her heart. That night, Neoma appeared one last time. But something was different. She no longer looked sad. The heaviness in her eyes was gone. "Thank you," she whispered. Femi struggled to speak. "Will I ever see you again?" Neoma smiled gently.
Please.
"Some people enter our hearts forever, even if they don't stay in our lives forever." And slowly, like mist touched by morning sunlight, she disappeared. This time for good. Years later, Femi would still pause whenever rain fell after midnight. Not out of fear, but gratitude. Because the ghost everyone else ignored had taught him one unforgettable truth. Sometimes love is not about holding on. Sometimes love is knowing when to let go. If this story entertained you, please show love by tapping on the subscribe button.